What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Grassy TV, and welcome back to my channel. Are you struggling to survive your first steps into hell in Hero Siege 2? Don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, I'll share my tips and tricks to help crush your enemies, optimize your build, and get the loot that you need to dominate early game progression. Whether you're a new player or a seasoned veteran looking for an edge, these strategies will set you up for success, so let's dive into it. First, early game progression in Hero Siege can be a bit confusing to new and returning players, as the game doesn't really nudge you into any particular direction, except pushing you into the pool and hoping you learn how to swim. Other popular RPGs such as Path of Exile simply give you maps to complete, which generally reward you with higher tier maps, allowing you to progress into more difficult content. Hero Siege, on the other hand, takes a different approach by adding core game mechanics and events directly into the already built campaign zones, effectively turning each area into a map. Now, killing Mevius, which is the boss at the end of Act 8, will increase the difficulty of these zones, scaling all the way up to Hell 5. But how do we get to Hell 5? First, let's go through some basic gameplay tips. Make sure that you allocate your skill tree, your sub-skill tree, and all of your attribute points for all of your loadouts. You do get 2 loadouts, so if you need to set up maybe a utility setup or a single target setup on a second loadout, be sure to do that and that you've spent all of your points everywhere that you can. Second, update your loot filter. At the bare minimum, go into your options under gameplay and loot filter and select the early hell option on the left side under filter settings. If you don't have a highlight filter, I do have some available for both leveling and endgame. Also, make sure you update your potions and your flasks. In Season 6, this will be different. They're going to be adding a PoE flask-like potion into the game instead of the D2 style potions that we have now. This means that you will need to actively upgrade your potions for it to have any meaningful effect on your character. Mercenaries, if you haven't hired a mercenary yet, don't forget your mercenary. As well as if you need to throw some gear on him, just pick up any scraps off of the ground. It can provide some additional utility, or he can just be a meat shield for you, right? There are several cheap Magic Find mercenary items to give them. Heads up, several Magic Find merc items are being reworked in Season 6. So right now in Season 5, you're able to get like the Bucket, Leprechaun's Greed, Mystic Lure, those sorts of things, and they're fairly cheap. Coming into Season 6, most of those are changing into SS Satanic items. They're going to be more rare, which is going to increase the value of them. Next, make sure that you sell mythic items for early gold. You don't need a big drop to start earning a cash flow. Many early items are very, very cheap and can be acquired on the auction house. Selling purple or mythic items as early as Nightmare when leveling can really set you up for success later. While everyone else is waiting for that big drop, you're constantly increasing your bankroll and able to make small gear upgrades as you go. Be sure you destroy any relics that you don't need. Relics are extremely important to builds, and you want to make sure that you give yourself the best chance of finding the specific ones that you need for your build. The relics do have a special mechanic built into them. Once you have found a particular relic one time, you do have an increased chance of finding that same relic again whenever any relic drops. This chance increases based on the hell difficulty that you're in, up to an 8% chance in Hell 5. So it makes sense to eliminate relics that you don't need because they're nerfing your chances of finding a new relic. Next, go back and complete any quests that you haven't completed for runes that you may need for early rune words. There are no required quests in Hero Siege, but there are a few of them that can provide a lot of low to mid runes that help in creating rune words to boost your Hell 1 playthrough. These quests are Act 1 Normal, Act 1 Nightmare, and Act 1 Hell. Each of these will reward you with runes up to Vex, aside from a few at the start of Normal. Even in a situation where you don't get the exact rune that you need, you can use the Prospect Station to downgrade runes to the tier that you do need. Moving along to some gearing tips. First, update your gear with current content items. So this one might seem a bit vague, but my point here is that you need to look for gear slots where you have a low tier satanics or items with only a couple of affixes on them, or just really useless affixes, and replace those items. Now that you're in hell, S tier items will be very common and can roll higher tier affixes on them. So maybe you have gloves with 10% arcane skill damage. In hell, you could find mythic gloves that have 45% arcane skill damage with some additional stats on top of that. Also, don't be afraid to use rune words as often as possible. Rune words are very potent in Hero Siege. So if you're a caster, there's Divinity and Sky Song for main hand and offhands. If you need resistances, there's Divine Contemplation. There's also a chest for every caster archetype that's very strong. If you're an attack-based build, there's Malice, Sky Song, Ravager weapons. Make them on S tier bases and always be looking for quality bases to get additional enhanced damage. Valkyrie on a Merc can provide a stupid amount of damage through attack speed scaling for only the cost of a key rune. Gladstone Goose is up to, or excuse me, Gladstone Goose is 65% all res. This one stat alone makes this a fantastic item to get early, and you only need a pull and an unrune for it. Do not ignore your rune words. Start making them as early as Act 1 Nightmare by farming Rat Den. You get the runes for practically free by doing your early quests and just playing the game. You'll get a ton of them. Far too often, I see new players try and fill their entire character with satanic gear while having ample amounts of runes to be in a far better position than they currently are. Next, begin searching for quality bases for these rune words. When making a rune word, you can give yourself even more power or survivability by using bases that have quality on them. They don't need to be god tier bases to use. Yes, you can get a +5 all skills base on a white chest. However, this is extremely rare. Do yourself a favor and use a base with maybe a high enhanced defense. This will make you feel much more tanky against attacks and projectiles during your hell playthrough. Now for attackers, you want to use bases that are superior or exceptional that have additional rolls of enhanced damage. This will absolutely skyrocket your damage. You don't need to wait until you find a triple ED base or anything like that. However, rune words like Malice, you will have hundreds of runes to be able to make Malice over and over and over. So even if you find maybe a base that has an additional 25% enhanced damage on it, maybe 50% enhanced damage versus the one that you're currently using, you might as well go ahead and make a new Malice and just upgrade it over time as you're playing, because these runes are free. For casters, you don't need bases with maximum plus skills to make early rune words. A fantastic alternative is finding a weapon base with intelligence based on level. This gives you 45 intelligence or 45 magic skill damage. This is more than acceptable for getting through hell difficulty. Star leveling your gear can help you get some additional plus skills, additional enhanced damage, additional damage or survivability. If you're not sure how star leveling gear works, I do have a full guide explaining this. It is definitely super important for attack-based characters to star level their gear because all of your damage comes from the attack damage that's on your weapon. So increasing the attack damage of your weapon is a no-brainer. Are also very important. Charms are very flexible. They have a lot of different affixes that they can provide. They're great for capping your resistances. I see people all the time complain about dying to on-death effects, yet they have 20% resistances and they don't pick up res charms at all. It's hell 1. You have enough damage, I promise. Charms can also offer a ton of other utility to your builds. So for casters, you can get life, mana on kill for sustain, magic skill damage for additional damage, faster cast rate for more damage, as well as it makes your build feel a bit more smoother because you're teleporting around a bit faster or you're casting your skills a bit quicker. It just adds a smoothness to your caster. For attackers, there's enhanced damage charms. This increases the attack damage on your weapon for more damage, or increased attack speed charms. This is just another damage multiplier. Charms can get crazy amounts of crit chance and crit damage, and grab one source of life and mana leech on a charm and you'll have infinite sustain. Other great affixes are enhanced defense. This is a global modifier and it's absolutely broken. Life and life percentage, you can never have enough life. Not enough people pick these up. You can get a ton of life early. I remember when I did my Viking playthrough, which to be fair, Viking does have combat orders, so you get additional life percent scaling from combat orders. But whenever I was doing my playthrough, by the end of, once I hit level 100, I had 11,000 life. So I see people that have 1,000 life by the time they get to level 100, and it's just crazy how easy it is to get life. And of course, if you have, some open space, you're doing good on resistances, you have a ton of life, you're feeling chonky, definitely throw in some magic find can help you beef up with new items, right? Find some crazy items. Now, save your in-game chests or save up money for your in-game chests to use angelic keys early on. I'll be honest with you, this one's a bit more of an advanced strategy, but there's augments like Monstrosity, Tempest Strikes, or next season we'll have Lethal Tempo is another one that I'm really looking at that could be really crazy. This is a good option for you to invest in your chest, your in-game chest piece, as well as get your augment early. That can be, a ton of damage or a ton of survivability, whatever it may be, and it can reduce the overall cost as it Angelic keys are generally much cheaper at the start of a season. They get progressively more expensive. So this can save you a little bit of money. Moving on to different farming tips. In this section, I'm going to detail out some different strategies that you can use to aid in progression with notes on why specific pieces of content might be a better choice for your gameplay loop. Again, because everyone is at different levels, you're playing different classes, different skills, you have different levels of gear. You will need to make your own decisions on what content to farm based on the information that's provided here. So, first of all, hell progression versus rat den. Which should you push, or when should you start pushing your character through hell? So, completing Hell 1 should always be your first goal whenever you reach Hell. However, you may not be able to easily do this as soon as you hit Hell. A great way to boost up your character is running Rat Den in the outskirts of Noria in Act 1. Many players will use this spot to finish leveling their character level 100 and tidy up their gear. Once you feel capable, progress all the way through Hell, kill Mevius. After killing Mevius, you will unlock a Satanic Zones for that difficulty. These areas offer various buffs while being occupied and change every hour. There are a lot of different combinations that can occur, but these are primarily the ones that I look for. The first is the Relic Hour. This will be the absolute best way for you to farm your relics. You do not want to miss out on this. This is the main reason that you're pushing all the way through your health progression as quickly as you can, because you want to make sure that if a Relic Hour pops up, that you are available to grab that. Next, we have Loot Goblin. This just gives you additional drops in the map. This can help you get some additional base drops, or if you're lucky, you could get some heroics, whatever it may be. Same for runes. Having, additional rune chance can give you some of those high runes to make more potent rune words like Enigma. Magic Find. When you're in Hell 1, you do not get a Magic Find buff from the game. The only Magic Finds you have is from your character. So any sources of Magic Find will be noticeable in Hell 1. You should be checking Satanic Zones every hour during your play sessions. Another option would be experience grinding. In Hero Siege, you continue gaining experience towards hero levels after you hit level 100. The tree does offer you some additional power and utility for both casters and attackers alike through various mythic nodes. This is also where you import glyphs for additional item finding potential. To unlock the tree's full potential, you will need to get experience. So I like to run 3-2 Sand Cave. It's my favorite zone to get experience in, as well as, it does have Legion packs in there. You can get heroics off of those, or just tons of bases, as well as it has a lot of shrines in it. You have a chance of getting like Runic Embrace shrines, or Archhuman Plateaus from the Guardian of Hell affix, as well as there's mining nodes in there in order to keep up your mining. If you're trying to level up your mining, or maybe you already have leveled up your mining, you're just farming on the Terethium ore in there, or whatever ore pops up. That's just a very good grind all the way around while maintaining good experience. But ultimately, you want to try and run a zone that you're able to be consistent on. Now, those looking to maximize their farming potential through glyphs should consider experience grinding early. I have more information on hero levels in the Ultimate Beginner's Guide, as well as I will be making a video here shortly discussing how to allocate your hero level tree. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Next, we have speed farming. There are many types of keys in Hero Siege. The most important ones early are dungeon keys and Bifrost keys. This does not have to be done in Hell 1. You always want to make sure that you prioritize your clear speed over magic. You don't want to be in a situation where you're farming Hell 3 and you can't kill monsters fast, because this strategy will not work. So the whole point of key speed farming is you're killing monsters as fast as you possibly can, because keys are not affected by Magic Find. They're not affected by pretty much anything other than maybe glyphs that would give you increased chances of finding them. So this is going to give you the most amount of keys, the most amount of Bifrost keys. You could sell the Bifrost keys, you could sell the dungeon keys on the auction house, or you could take the gamble and run the Bifrost key. Maybe you run into a Vanaheim, or you run into Asgard, whatever it may be. Or you could use the dungeon keys to run dungeons with a group or yourself in order to try to hit some early glyphs, or to sell those glyphs. All of these are good options for just generating some early income. Glyphs are very important to every character in Hero Siege by offering additional item drop potential. You obtain glyphs by killing monsters in key dungeons. Without spending too much time on this, glyphs have a quality value. The higher the quality, the better the glyph effect. Finding and leveling up high quality glyphs early can make a massive impact on your overall drop performance and provide additional income through selling glyphs. Now, you can maximize your profits by running this strategy in a group and doing 12 key dungeons. You only need to do a total of 12 keys, not 12 keys per person. So, essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that glyphs will give you additional drops. The point of glyphs is to give you more drops on different items, different commodities. There's like magic find ones, there's key ones, there's rune ones. There's a glyph for every commodity in this game. So what you could do is run your key dungeons to try to spawn these glyphs, get high quality ones for yourself, and start leveling those up. And after a couple of days of doing this and really getting your glyphs leveled up, you're gonna notice a massive increase in your draw performance because you have really good glyphs. It'll make a big difference, right? And then of course the ones that you find that are really good, but maybe they're not perfect. Maybe you find a 99% quality, but you have a 100% one already. Guess what? Now you just made a good amount of money because you can sell that one. Now, as a side note, when completing key dungeons, you do also get a chest at the end that will always contain a relic. So if you have all of your relics already, and you're in Hell 5 already, whatever hell difficulty is you're in, you do have a chance of obviously getting your relic again. For more information on glyphs, you can check out my video that shows every glyph currently available in the game. Glyphs can greatly impact your game and your farming strategies. Next, we have shrine farming. Shrines can spawn as many different types and have the ability to spawn many different monster types with varying affixes. One of the best shrines is the Runic Embrace Shrine, which more times than not will drop high runes out of it due to the rune drops having an equal weighting. So you have the same chance of getting a Burr rune as you do getting an Ol rune. This can also spawn the Guardian of Hell affix monster type, which opens up a portal to the Archdemon Plateau. However, the Archdemon Plateau, or ADPs, is generally farmed on higher difficulties just because the chests that are in there scale based off of the hell difficulty. So in Hell 5, they have I think it's 5,000% magic find and some additional quant, versus in Hell 1, it's 500 with, I believe, still some additional quant. I have to go look at it. But you can still get S tier gear from these chests quite often. So when you're in a situation where you're still trying to get any gear, dropping a moon shard out of it, or a charm, or dropping an S tier item like an Elven Grace, there's lots of things that you can get early from these chests that can be very impactful for progression. Next, we have mining. Mining materials are needed to craft specific items for nearly every character in the game. This places a demand for mining supplies, but the majority of people do not enjoy farming it. The strat here is very simple. You mine veins and sell the byproducts for gold. There's always going to be a market for mining materials, and it's the most consistent money making method in the game. I like to use 4-2 dungeon to maximize my profits. The 4-2 dungeon is Devil's Hole. There's a place in there that has a ton of ore that you can go and mine. I will be making a video discussing how this works, how you can level your mining extremely fast. So stay tuned for that. Next, we have Chaos Tower farming. Chaos Towers are giant black towers with legs clawing around the map. In Season 6, Chaos Towers are drastically changing due to them being very new in the beta. I won't be discussing their mechanics here to ensure that I don't supply misinformation. However, rewards and difficulty have been overhauled. Chaos Towers are a great source for commodities and items of all types. You get gems, runes, keys, satanics, and even heroics quite often. Chaos Towers are also home to the Uber boss King Rakul. This Uber has some of the best items in the game, but you will want to fight him on Hell 5. Those looking to farm materials to fight King Rakul to sell, or just to sell the entry key, should consider adding Chaos Towers to their rotation. I'll make another side note on this. I say farm the materials to fight King Rakul. There's no longer a quest for Rakul. You will find materials in the tower that you can stack up, and then you'll use a key essentially to fight Rakul now. Moving on to Shadow Realms and the Shadow Vendor Farm. Shadow Realms are the purple circles that you find in zones. These portals take you into the Shadow Realm. Monsters have a chance to drop dimensional shards, which are used to fight the Uber boss Reaper, who has his own drop table of items that scale based on the hell difficulty. So important to note that you can only get a torch in Hell 5, but Reaper also does have a chance to drop a soul, which is used to create the key for Uber Gabriel. And once you're inside the Shadow Realm, there's also the Shadow Realm vendor. And in here, you can find items that are of satanic quality. You can find dimensional shards. There's angelic keys that can rarely spawn in them. I would be sure to check the market. Say you find an angelic key in the Shadow Realm vendor, I would go to the market and see what the cost of a angelic key is to make sure that you're not overpaying in the Shadow Realm. Generally, you're not, but it's just something to keep in mind. I found quite a lot of good loot from this vendor. So yeah, another really great way to get lucky and find maybe a charm or find an S tier satanic that really helps your build. Those looking to farm materials for the Uber Reaper fight to sell or to just sell dimensional shards to the market should consider adding Shadow Realms to their rotation. Next, we have Eternal Battlefields, or EBs. These are the transparent breach-like events found in zones. This event spawns monsters that have a chance to drop battle fragments used to fight the Uber boss Sung Lee, who does have his own drop table of items, and he also scales based off of hell difficulty. Sung Lee does have a couple of decent drops early, but they do get rather watered down, as more and more people kill him, and there's more other items that are available to put in those slots instead. The items do lose value fairly quickly. Now, Sung Lee does also drop a soul used to create the Gabriel key. So those looking to farm materials to fight Sung Lee, to sell his drops, or to sell just the battle fragments, or maybe you're just trying to kill Sung Lee to get his soul, should consider adding EBs to their rotation. And last but not least, we have act bosses. Killing an act boss has a chance of dropping a corresponding soul from that boss. Keeping these souls together from Rag, Reaper, Anubis, Damien, Carp King, and Satan creates a key of terror, which is used to gain access to the Uber boss Damien, or the Son of Lucifer. I do highly recommend doing this farm in a group, as it will super cut down your farm time. Each person will go to a different boss, you'll run to it, and then you'll TP each other in to kill 4 bosses in one rotation, essentially. That way you get the maximum amount of chance of getting these souls. So anybody that's looking to farm the materials for Uber Damien, or maybe selling the items that you get from Uber Damien, should consider adding this act boss to their rotation. Now, as a side note, the act bosses in season 6 have had their heroic drops move to Inferno difficulty. So that's why you're not hearing me talk about farming Anubis in Hell 5 to get Arcanus rings or Hellfire Halos from Satan, because they are no longer in Hell 5. They are locked behind Inferno difficulty. Hopefully this video has provided you with enough information to make your early game progression go as smoothly as possible while maintaining purpose and fun. That's going to wrap up this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all Hero Siege related content and news. I am streaming season 6 closed beta on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. Come join me on the grind to Inferno mode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.